Greetings everybody, it's Emily from Pages and Ink, and this will be not only my last video shot in 2017, but also my last video on this laptop that I shoot all my videos on, because I got a video camera for Christmas, so hopefully my videos will be better quality, and maybe, just maybe, I may start vlogging, especially because I'll be going back to school, but I don't know for sure about that because it does feel kind of weird to do, but I don't know. So I'll let you guys know about that, but for now, I'm going to go through 3 different lists. The first is going to be just the couple things I got book-wise for Christmas. Then I'm going to do like a quick review of 2017 owl crates with my favorite things from the past year in the boxes. Just a couple things. Okay, a few things, because a couple means 2, and there's definitely more than 2. And then I'm going to go through the books that I read this year that I didn't reread and that were not graphic novels, and just kind of quickly discuss my feelings on them. Some of them will probably be very, very brief because I read them at the beginning of the year and I don't fully remember exactly what, like, maybe I didn't like it as much as, you know, maybe I do now, or, you know, what my problems were. So with that, let's just get on to the Christmas stuff. So I did get quite a few bookish things for Christmas, but I didn't get very many like books. I got like a Gryffindor shirt and a Harry Potter backpack, but I also got these 2 graphic novels, and that's about it, but that's okay because I got a bunch of cool stuff that I was really happy about. So I got Piper by Jay Asher and Jessica Freeberg, which I've already read and I just need to add to my Goodreads, as well as Reborn by Mark Miller and Greg Capullo, 2 guys that have worked. Greg Capullo worked on Batman, and Mark Miller worked on a bunch of stuff. Kick-Ass, Kingsman, The Ultimates, I think Civil War was one of his too. And I also read this one, also need to put it onto my Goodreads. So Reborn is about a world that we are reborn into after we die in our original world. All of the good people kind of live in this very happy, bright place, which name currently escapes me. Adastria, or Adystria. Adystra? Maybe? And then there's also this dark world where all of the bad people from our original world go, and they kind of turn into these monster things. For example, Lord Golgotha, who also has a lion-headed dragon called Arimathea, which I don't know how many of you guys are Christian, but those are biblical words. Pretty sure Golgotha is the hill of something. I don't remember. I need to go back to Bible school apparently. But anyway, Piper is a kind of not retelling, but it's kind of like a touch upon the Pied Piper story, where there is this deaf, like that's part of the story is the fact that she's deaf. But a deaf girl, Maggie, who makes friends with this Piper who has been recruited by her town to rid the town of rats, and they're kind of slowly not liking him there because he's asking for full payment for everything and extra provisions that he ends up like putting aside for himself, and then they kind of accuse him of bringing in the rats. Both have gorgeous art, they're great stories. Reborn is actually one of quite a few books, I believe, that are going to be coming out, so I'm excited to read more of those. Let me just show you a quick... oh, and this book looks gorgeous undressed, by the way. I don't read with dust jackets, so when I was reading it, I took it off and just like, oh my gosh. Alright, so just a quick glimpse at the artwork here. It's gorgeous. Within the past year, I also read 12 other graphic novels, one of them Harley Quinn, a lot of them Batgirl. I read a Lumberjanes graphic novel, and I also read a Disney kind of graphic novel, actually right over here, So Disney Kingdoms, Seekers of the Weird, that was actually pretty good too. I also read Wires and Nerve, which is the graphic novel companion series to the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer. And I believe the second book of that is coming out this in 2018 as well, so I'm also excited for that. Speaking of books with sequels coming out in 2018, let me, if I can find it, because I had just put it down somewhere. Oh, found it. So speaking of books with things coming in next year, actually, no. That is the last thing. I'm doing owlcrate next. Ignore me. So this past year, I got quite a few things that I really enjoyed from owlcrate, but things that really stood out for me were the Edgar Allan polka dot socks, I believe from the October box. Because I am a grand lover of puns, and if you give me something called polka dot socks, you know I'm going to wear them. It also goes with my polka dot pencil pouch that I've been using to keep owlcrate stuff in. It's pretty much all of the spoiler cards and such there. Oh, I did buy myself a Christmas present this year, which I totally forgot about, which is Wayfarer. So I now have Passenger and Wayfarer, so that completes that Alexander Bracken series. But moving on, one of the next thing that I really liked was the Lord of the Rings drawstring bag, because I can bring this to theme parks without having to worry about too much, because I don't really carry that much with me, just really my money, my cell phone, and maybe a pad and my camera. So it was just kind of like a nice bag that I could carry and not have too much with me. I also really liked the little dragon pouch from the Mythical Creatures box where I kind of keep my cards in. This one and this one are from this past month in December, so I have not used this yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to, and even if I don't, it's still a really great book. And if anything, like, the dates aren't even written in or anything, it just has, like, it doesn't even have the month in it. So honestly, I could use this even for 2019 if I don't get around to using it this year. But I also really like the Don't Let the Muggles Get You Down, because it's really cute on the back. It has lightning bolts, which, even though I was holding it up, didn't even notice, because apparently I'm weird. I've also greatly enjoyed the Geek Fire Labs chapsticks. I now have 3 of them. I got Patronus last year. This year I got Cinnamon Donut, which is like rubbed away because I keep it in my bag and use it all the time. And then I also got the, I think it's Winter is Here, which is Blackberry Mint. The Patronus one I think was mint white chocolate mint, so lots of mint going around. I also got this super cute mug in October that I had a great time drinking hot chocolate out of. It's Harry Potter, and I was so excited when I opened this. I was also really excited opening this. For the comic book owlcrate, I got Harley Quinn and the Superheroes Funko, even though she's technically, I think she's considered an anti-hero, but I love Harley Quinn a lot. Which I actually bought myself another Christmas present today. I got the DC Bombshell Harley Quinn off Amazon. Because she's fave, and the DC Bombshell Harley Quinn is just so cute. The last thing I have to share, like, I liked a lot of the stuff in the boxes, but these are the ones that really stood out. This wheel, I know what the wheel of a ship is called. The mast? No. That is the center pole of a ship. Like the center. It's gonna hit me later, but this wheel and an anchor, and it's got a compass in the wheel. Ignore me. And that was from the Geeky Cauldron, who has sent quite a few things through owlcrate. And I don't mean sent through owlcrate, I mean owlcrate has partnered and it has been sent. If I can get it back in this little pouch, I'd be entirely grateful though. There's also, you know, some soaps that were really nice, and candles. I have not burned many candles this year, unfortunately, so I do need to bring that back in 2018. But those were some of my favorite things from owlcrate. So now I will be moving on to the books that I read this year. So speaking of books that I was excited for sequels for, Daughter of a Pirate King has Daughter of a Siren Queen coming out next year, which I'm super excited for. And this was in our ships. What is it? It was I think Sailors, Ships, and Sirens, I think? Sirens, Sailors, and Ships? I don't remember. But this is Daughter of a Pirate King by Trissa Levenseller, which is about a girl who is obviously daughter of a pirate king, and she allows herself to be captured onto an enemy ship because she is in search of this treasure map, and her name is Alosa, and she's just awesome. So send on a mission to retrieve an ancient hidden map, the key to a legendary treasure trove. 17-year-old pirate Captain Alosa, she has her own pirate ship by the way, deliberately allows herself to be captured by her enemies, giving her the perfect opportunity to search their ship. More than a match for the ruthless pirate crew, Alosa has only one thing standing between her and the map, her captor, the unexpectedly clever and unfairly attractive first mate Raiden. But not to worry, for Alosa has a few tricks up her sleeve, and no lone pirate can stop the Daughter of the Pirate King. It was actually a pretty good book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I don't remember why it was 4 out of 5, but it was still really good, and I am definitely looking forward to the next book next year. And these are out of order, so I'm sorry. And I took them off my shelf, so whatever order they're in is what they're in. Then we also have Caraval, which I believe I gave 5 out of 5 stars, which is what I thought Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern was going to be. So it was really good. But this is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. And I believe the next book, either the next book in this series or like a companion novel, I think it's called Legendary, comes out next year. Also on my Barnes & Noble wish list. Is this pretty undressed? No. Well, it's got a little tear. A little teardrop. But this book was exactly what I was expecting like Night Circus to be, which was very magical. Night Circus was a little more romantic, and this is a little less that. I mean, it does have some romance in it. But essentially what this book is, it's 2 sisters who are invited to this competition called Caraval, where they go and they essentially take part in like a game. And her sister ends up going missing, so while she's also playing this game, she's trying to save her sister. So the synopsis here is, Scarlet Dragana has never left the tiny island where she and her sister Tella lived with their powerful and cruel father. Now Scarlet's father has arranged a marriage for her, and Scarlet thinks her dreams of seeing Caraval, the faraway once-a-year performance where the audience participates in the show, are over. But this year, Scarlet's long-dreamt invitation finally arrives with the help of a mysterious sailor. Tella whisks Scarlet away to the show. Only as soon as they arrive, Tella is kidnapped by Caraval's mastermind organizer, Legend. It turns out that this season's Caraval revolves around Tella, and whoever finds her first is the winner. Scarlet has been told that everything that happens during Caraval is only an elaborate performance. Nevertheless, she becomes enamored in the game of enmeshed in the game of love, heartbreak, and magic, and whether Caraval is real or not, Scarlet must find Tella before the 5 nights of the game are over, or a dangerous domino effect of consequences will be set off, and our beloved sister would disappear forever. Welcome, welcome to Caraval. Beware of getting swept too far away. So it's actually really good. I'm trying to remember the specific things that I really enjoyed. I'm pretty sure a lot of the plot twists I couldn't really predict, and that's really good for me because I do like to enjoy plot twists, and while I do like getting them right, it's also really fun when things that I don't expect to happen. Put that over there. Sorry, I know that's not really in-depth. I don't know how many books I actually did book talks for this past year, so I apologize, but a lot of my reviews are up on Goodreads, so if you follow me on Goodreads at Of Pages and Ink, then you'll see my real thoughts. But anyway, moving on. So the next book I have is Eliza and Her Monsters, which I actually really enjoyed. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. There are actually very few 5 out of 5 stars on my list. This is a book that I still think about, and even though I read it over the summer, to the point where I got it was on my cousin's wish list for Christmas, and I got it for her because I knew she'd really enjoy it. It's a multimedia storytelling novel, so it's not told just in your typical novel storytelling style, but it's also got blog posts and artwork and I think text messages as well, online chats. So it's not told in just one media, it's multimedia, which is also kind of silly because social media is also a thing in this book as well. It does kind of cover quite a few different things. It covers like first relationships. It covers self-confidence issues, and finding the faith in yourself. And it can get pretty dark actually. So if you do have problems with that, be a little wary when you read this. But one of my favorite quotes from this is actually a quote from one of the characters' comics, which is "You Found Me in a Constellation." A lot of people took it. It was just really kind of pretty. But Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. It's really good. Highly recommend. Is this one pretty undressed? I always look for pretty books undressed because I read without the covers. I read without the dust jackets, so anything pretty without its dust jacket is great in my book. I also have Warcross, which I did not get from an owlcrate book, while as the other 3, I believe, were, if I remember correctly. But Warcross I actually got as a gift from my boyfriend Tyler, and it's actually signed by Marie Lu, so that was kind of awesome for him to find for me. He took the sticker off, so I didn't know until I opened it. But this is Marie Lu's new book series. I believe it's a series. Warcross, obviously, which is, I didn't read the thing for Eliza and Her Monsters. Sorry. Oh well. Moving on. This is about a girl named Emmy who lives in this high-tech Tokyo. Or she doesn't live in Tokyo. She lives somewhere else. I think it's California. No, it's New York. She lives in New York. She lives in a futuristic New York, and she gets whisked away to Tokyo, where she's a hacker, and the CEO of the group that has created this world called Warcross, he recruits her to kind of try to track down a hacker that's been terrorizing the world, and she gets to become part of a team and play Warcross, which she didn't really do too much of before because she was really just hacking and bounty hunting as a way to earn money. And she is actually super excited because she actually has kind of a crush. She really looks up to him, the CPO? Wow. CEO of the, let me just read. The obsession started 10 years ago, and its fan base now spans the globe, some eager to escape from reality and others hoping to make a profit. Struggling to make ends meet, teenage hacker Emika Chen works as a bounty hunter tracking down Warcross players who bet on the game illegally. But the bounty hunting world is a competitive one, and survival has not been easy. To make some quick cash, Emika takes a risk and hacks into the opening game of an international Warcross championships, only to accidentally glitch herself into the action and become an overnight sensation. Convinced she's going to be arrested, Emika is shocked when instead she gets a call from the game's creator, the elusive young billionaire Hideo Tanaka, with an irresistible offer. He needs a spy on the inside of this year's tournament in order to uncover a security problem, and he wants Emika for the job. With no time to lose, Emika's whisked off to Tokyo and thrust into a world of fame and fortune that she's only dreamed of. But soon her investigation uncovers a sinister plot with major consequences for the entire Warcross empire. It's actually really good. This is another one of my 5 out of 5 stars, and I know I said that there were very few, and those are 3 of these. I think I have 14 or 13 or 14 that I'm going to talk about. And those 3 and then 2 Throne of Glass books are the only ones with 5 out of 5 stars, I believe. Oh no, there's one more. But moving on. So there's also The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones, which was also really good, although I wasn't a big fan of the ending. And also one instance in the book, I was like done with one of the characters. But this is a book about a girl who sells her soul to a demon in order to stay in her school so she doesn't have to go home and deal with her abusive father and her indifferent mother. And I say indifferent because her mother just kind of doesn't do much about it. He's not only abusive to her but also her mother, so that's positive. But she makes friends, she falls in love, she goes on, not necessarily an adventure, but she goes on some pretty dangerous missions, risking her life for the demon, and it actually turns out that it's helping the world. I'll quickly read a little synopsis here, but I think I like mine a little bit better. But Dee Moreno, is out of options. Her home life sucks, to put it mildly, and she's about to get booted from her boarding school, the only place she's ever felt free, for lack of funds. But this is a world where demons exist, and the demons are there to make deals. One human body part in exchange for one wish come true. The demon who Dee approaches doesn't trade in the usual arms and legs, however, he's only interested in her heart. And what comes after Dee makes her deal is a nightmare far bigger, far more monstrous than anything she ever could have imagined. Reality is turned on its head, and Dee has only her fellow Heartless, the charming but secretive James Lancer to keep her grounded. As something like love grows between them, and amid an otherworldly ordeal, Dee begins to wonder, can she give James her heart when it no longer is hers to give? In the hearts we sold, demons can be outwitted, hearts can be reclaimed, monsters can be fought, and love isn't impossible. It's actually pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. It's got 4 out of 5 stars for the 2 things that I talked about, but it's pretty good. Next I have Roseblood by A.G. Howard. I also have Splintered by A.G. Howard that I have not read yet. It was a gift from my cousin from last year, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But this is a Phantom of the Opera retelling that I still think about to this day. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, but if I still think about it to this day, it's more like 4.5, really. Which is probably what I gave it, I'm not gonna lie. Because Goodreads doesn't have half-star ratings, so I usually write it in my reviews, but I didn't look at my reviews. I was kind of doing this on a raw basis here. But this is a book about a girl who goes to this musical boarding school in, I believe, the original opera house from the story Phantom of the Opera. And I believe she's like the descendant of the girl that Christine was modeled after. Christine from Phantom of the Opera was modeled after. And she has this, I think what she considers a curse, where she cannot, she essentially has music explode out of her. If she hears like this operetta or this aria, she's like her being is like kind of carried through that song, and she kind of loses herself in it, and like music explodes, like she sings powerfully out of her, and it like takes a whole lot out of her. She can't read sheet music. She can only really perform things that she's heard, and it takes a lot out of her. And she meets this boy at the school who's kind of a phantom himself. He was actually ended up raising either he was raised by the guy that was either inspired, or that inspired Phantom of the Opera, or is actually the Phantom of the Opera. And he kind of starts to kind of inform her what her curse, what really is a gift, is, and how she can really control it, and in the end, he does help her out. But we'll read a little synopsis for this, as long as I can drop things. Rune Germain, whose voice has been compared to that of an angel, has a mysterious affliction linked to her talent that leaves her sick and drained at the end of each performance. Convinced that creative direction will cure her, Rune's mother ships her off to a French boarding school for the arts at a renovated opera house rumored to have ties to the Phantom of the Opera. Shortly after arriving at the Roseblood Conservatory, Rune starts to believe something otherworldly is indeed afoot. The masked boy she's seen frequenting the graveyard beside the opera house doesn't have any classes at the school, and vanishes almost as quickly as he appears. When Rune begins to develop a secret friendship with the elusive Thorn, who dresses in clothing straight out of the 19th century, she realizes that with his musical guidance she feels cured. Thorn may be falling for Rune, but the phantom haunting Roseblood wants her for a very specific and dangerous purpose. So there's that one. Then there's My Lady Jane by 3 different authors. There's Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. Now, Jody Meadows I have read a book about, and I know I have a review for that from I believe it was last year. It's either last year or the year before, so go look at that if you're interested. Did not like the book. really at all. I liked the concept, but the execution was just for me. But I actually really liked My Lady Jane. Because it's cute, it's funny, it's historical fiction, so if you like historical fiction and comedy, you might want to read My Lady Jane. It's about Jane Grey, who is about to become a ruler. She becomes engaged to, or not engaged to, she's caught up in a plot to rob her beloved cousin King Edward of his crown. She's also kind of betrothed isn't the right word. She's promised to and is quickly married to Gifford, who has this like strange curse on him where he turns into an animal at any given time of the day. But she actually ends up being that too, which is kind of cool. But I'll just read this real quick. So there's Edward. Is the King of England. He is also dying, which is inconvenient as he's only 16 and he'd much rather be planning for his first kiss than considering who will inherit his crown. Jane is Edward's cousin and far more interested in books than in romance. Unfortunately for Jane, Edward has arranged to marry her off to secure the line of succession, and there is something a little odd about her intended. Gifford is a horse. That is, he is an Ethian, that's right, for the uninitiated. Every day at dawn he becomes a noble chestnut steed, but then he wakes at dusk with a mouthful of hay. It's all very undignified. The plot thickens as Edward, Jane, and Gifford are drawn into a dangerous conspiracy. With the fate of the kingdom at stake, our heroes will have to engage in some conspiring of their own. But can they pull off their plan before it's off with their heads? It's actually a really good, really funny story. So I definitely recommend that one. I think that one... No, that one was 4 stars, so there's something about it that I didn't like. But I still think about that one to this day as well, because it's actually pretty good. So next I have The Glass Spare, which I believe is a book that I got in owlcrate, which I had actually heard quite a bit about before I had even gotten it, and then I ended up reading it, I believe, almost right away. I think I actually read it before I read Warcross, which I was more excited for Warcross. But this ended up not being what I was expecting it to be. It was still pretty good, but it was kind of just lacking that oomph that I needed for it. It was kind of... I was expecting a lot more action than I got. I really got a lot of sitting around and travel. Actually, there was a lot of sitting around. There really wasn't that much action at all. There was a lot of more character development and a lot less action. Which is great, but when you have a high fantasy story, you kind of want some action. I'm not gonna lie. But it was still a pretty interesting story, and it's about a girl who has a curse where she one day just kind of wakes up with it. And she's a princess. So her father had 4 kids. There's her and her 3 brothers. She's the youngest, and she's the only girl. Obviously, if I said she has 3 brothers and there's 4 of them. Her oldest brother is obviously meant to be king. Her second brother was kind of put into the shadows, and so was her second. So the first oldest, second oldest, and then the third oldest, the youngest brother, third oldest sibling. He only went older than her within a couple years. Who is like an alchemist. They're called spares. So it's kind of insinuated that if anything happens to the crown prince, that they would be like next, kind of. But she's also kind of used as her father's spy, since nobody really knows what any of them look like, because in their kingdom, photos are kind of frowned upon, so there's like no paintings or anything. But it's kind of interesting. It's almost like a steampunk world mixed with a medieval world, so it's still very castles and wagons, but it's also got like carriages. Well, carriages aren't that medieval, but you know what I mean. It's got telephones and boats that I believe are motorized, and it's got zeppelins, but it's not, electricity. It's hard to explain. It's actually really cool, honestly, but Wilhelmina Heidel is the 4th child and only daughter of the king of the world's wealthiest nation. Has grown up in the shadows, kept hidden from the world in order to serve as a spy for her father, whose obsession with building his empire is causing a war. Will wants nothing more than to explore the world beyond her kingdom, if only her father would give her the chance. Until one night Will is attacked and she discovers a dangerous secret. Her touch turns people into gemstone. At first Will is horrified by her power, but as she tests its limits, she's drawn more and more to the strange and volatile ability. When it leads to tragedy, though, Will is forced to face the destructive power within her and finally leave her home to seek the truth and a cure. But finding the key to her redemption puts her in the path of a cursed prince who has his own ideas for what to do with his power. With a world on the brink of war and a power of ultimate destruction, can Will find a way to help the kingdom that has turned its back on her, or will she betray her past and her family forever? There were a couple things I remember now that I didn't like quite about the plot, besides the fact it was a lot of sitting. And I do know that it's going to be a series, so hopefully it does improve, and then I can kind of like the story a little bit more, because that happened with Legend. There were things about Legend I wasn't a big fan of, but I kept reading it, and I love Champion very much. Like, that was a well-written book, Murray Lou. I love it. So there's that. Hopefully it'll be like that for me. Then I have these three, which I'm not going to talk too much about, because they're the last books or the next books in series. So I have Tower of Dawn, which I'll talk a little bit about, Empire's Storms, and King's Cage from the Red Queen series. These two are Throne of Glass, King's Cage, Red Queen. So I read this so long ago I barely remember anything from it, although I still am having conflicting feelings for Maven. Just gonna put that out there. Oh, this one is so heavy. It's so heavy, what the heck. Alright, so Tower of Dawn came out this year, which when I first heard about it, I was actually incredibly upset, because as much as I love the Throne of Glass series, it's just getting too long. So I was kind of hoping for it to be the end of the series, but it's not. That's going to be next year. And I was not very happy with the idea of a whole book for Kale, because Kale is not my favorite character in any way, shape, or form. But I actually really enjoyed this book. It's kind of Kale's redeeming story. So throughout the Throne of Glass series, if you're a fan and you've read it, I think you kind of might share my thing. When Kale learns out the truth about Selena, he just kind of, like, 180-degree flip in regards to her. And it's just kind of really insulting and weird to me. And he's actually a little more accepting of the truth about Dorian, so it's like, what the heck, man? You love her, but he's your best friend. You love them both in different ways, but for some reason it's different for her? Like, I guess it's just because she kept the truth from him, but can you blame her? Honestly, if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. But in this book, Kale travels to the southern continent to try to get aid for the war brewing in the northern continent, and Aurelia... Sorry, I have hair on my tongue. Anyway. And he meets a healer there named... I almost want to say I lied, but I know that's wrong. Irene Towers. He meets a healer named Irene. Nesrin also goes with him, and she befriends the prince of the southern continent. And he kind of shows her what she could be, because she's actually from the southern continent. He shows her what she could be, and what she's been missing out living in the north, because she's missed out a lot of her own culture. And it's actually really good. It's really well written. It's very redeeming for Kale's character, because he's becoming more accepting of Selena and the whole thing there. So while I am still I still feel like this could have been like a side story and not so much part of the actual thing. Like, it doesn't even match. The text is gold, the text is silver. There's a shield on this one. And Selena's on all of these. So it's like, what's the truth? But anyway, so there's those. And that's all I've read. Other than graphic novels and things that I've reread, like the rest of the Throne of Glass series, that's all I have for you. I know this video is much longer than any of my other videos, and I do apologize for that, but it is a year in review, and it has been a very big year. Real quick, I guess I could just kind of talk about my year in general in case you guys are curious. I'm sure you're not, but let's see. I started off this year at 177 pounds, and within the past year, I have lost about 30 of that. At one point, I was 146, but I know I've kind of fluctuated in between there. I know none of you care, but I want to share anyway because I'm actually really proud of it. A lot of it was working out regularly, eating better, eating less junk and a little more good food, and also kind of making sure I don't eat too much throughout the day because over snacking can also cause weight gain. I was in and out of a relationship that I thought was going to be great and ended up not being great at all, with somebody that I knew for quite some time and it just didn't work out. A relationship that I really cared about ended as well, but I also am already in another relationship which is actually a lot better for me than I thought. I put it off for quite some time because I was worried that I would be jumping into it too quick. But I did talk to a friend and he said as long as you're not dating him for the wrong reasons, for example, the fact that I would need to be in a relationship, because at the time I was trying to figure out if that was why, and it wasn't. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't jumping into it, and we've been dating for a little over 2 months now, and as much as he's a pain, he's actually really good for me and he makes me happy, so there's that. I am also going back to school in the spring, so that's not too much a 2007 thing, but at the beginning of the year I had applied for a fall nursing program for school and didn't get into it because I put in my paperwork late, and then I also tried again for the spring, but I wasn't enrolled in any classes for the fall, so my enrollment at the college that I was going to go to was kind of nulled. So I'm just gonna go EMT and then branch because it's gonna be less money and I can actually go back to school and feel like I'm doing something with my life instead of sitting on my butt. So I'm really excited about that as well. This past year I've read a lot less than I really wanted to, but at the same time I did a lot more. I did a lot more crafting with my hands. I went to concerts. I went to not really bars, but I went, and spent more time with friends and spent less time at home, and it's just, while America itself is kind of falling apart here with the stupidity that is the things happening in our government, things for me are actually looking up, so that's good. I'm really hoping 2018 will be a whole lot better. I'm hoping that the world will find a way to love each other and to not be such jerks to each other, because we, as human beings, we can be genuine, pardon my French, assholes. I was gonna bleep it and I realized that would negate the point, to each other. Like, just today I had a customer blow up about stickers. Come on guys, stickers. Is this what we are? As a capitalist nation, is this what we are reduced to? Stickers? Like, it just, I'll get into that maybe some other day for you guys, but I hope that 2018 brings more love, more acceptance, more light to problems that we have that some people just don't want to address. Hopefully we get our internet back, because I heard net neutrality is gone, so hopefully we can bring that back. Hopefully we can either kick some sense into Trump so he can actually be a president and not a figurehead. And by figurehead I mean he's essentially a joke to a lot of people, and we don't need that for a president. Which I'm not going to talk too much about politics because of reasons, but that is my view on that. A couple really awesome movies came out this year. Star Wars is one of them. I'm sure there are others. I would have to look at lists and be like, oh, all of this came out this year. So 2017 was the year of, I believe, dabbing and fidget spinners, and Game of Thrones exploded quite a bit this year too, I think. A couple other TV shows exploded in different ways. I really hope 2018 becomes a better year for a lot of different people. I know I have friends getting married. I know people looking for better jobs. People are going back to school, including me and my brother. So I'm really hoping that 2018 kind of kicks 2017 in the butt and hopefully is a much better year. I love all of you. Thank you so much for watching. It means so much. I know this video is so very long, and if you have stayed till the end, thank you so much. And again, I really hope this kind of helps if you're one of those people that just kind of listen in on things. But I love all of you. Thank you so much for watching. It means so much to me that you guys put in the time to do it. Hopefully next year is a really good one for you. I hope we can all find love and acceptance and support for one another, and I hope you guys read all of the books that you want to read. I hope you guys got everything you wanted for Christmas, or at least the things that mattered the most to you, if not everything. I hope you find love for books, depending on what you're looking for. I hope you guys do well in school and graduate or continue in school, go back to school, meet your reading goal, anything, move out if that's your goal. I hope you all meet your goals in every way and live with love and acceptance and fun, and I will see you guys next year. Happy reading. Happy New Year.